Hello, and thanks for joining us on our show, Basic Concepts in the Wisdom of Kabbalah, with Dr. Michael Laitman. Hello, Dr. Laitman. Hello. On this show, each time we try to take a different concept from the tremendous wisdom of Kabbalah and explain it in the simplest way for a person who just started taking interest in the wisdom of Kabbalah. And our concept for today is faith. Dr. Laitman, lately I meet many people that are starting to take interest in the wisdom of Kabbalah, and what brought them to the wisdom of Kabbalah is a certain inner faith that our life isn't just what we see around us, but there's something beyond, that there's some kind of force, that there's something that... And I wanted to ask you, where does such a strong feeling of faith come to a person's heart from? A person feels that it's impossible that what we feel, that this is called life, and the way that we live our life, the way that we exist, the way that we come to this world, go through it, leave it, and that this is called life, this is called reality. Also, in our century, we heard from scientists, philosophers, different people, that reality isn't exactly what we see, but reality also has other different forms, and that it's possible to reach these forms and feel them and experience them. This awakens in people thoughts and also doubts. So what is it that we feel? Is this life? I think that most people wouldn't want to accept it. If this is everything that there is. Yeah. This is life. These are the years that we go through so quickly, in such a way, in such a feeling. Meaning we have a problem with it. But if we put our emotion aside, how are we better than animals? So we live because we're alive, because we're born. And this is how we exist. I heard different excuses about it from different people, different explanations. And so what follows is that we don't know life. And what is your question then? Faith. Faith. If we can't say anything about life, if we can't say anything concretely in a clear manner that's understood to everyone, accepted by us all in a clear manner, equally, then what is faith? Faith is something that probably exists in man's heart, and man can feel this impression called faith in his heart. But must it be? Does everyone have it? How can we compare the sensation of faith in my heart, in your heart, in everyone's heart? Faith is an even greater problem than life. Life, if we live it in flesh and blood already, etc., etc., it's difficult for us to talk about it. But faith, which is something so transient, that passes and is gone, that changes. I can't say that we have some kind of definition. There were different definitions given to it, but that sometimes it's what a person feels in their heart. But I don't think that there is a definition that's common to everyone. The wisdom of Kabbalah speaks a lot about faith. Yeah. When Kabbalists talk about faith, what kind of feeling, sensation do they talk about? A slight inclination from the subtlety of the soul. That's called faith. See how, in this short sentence, how twisted it is. A slight inclination from the subtlety of the soul. What is that? Slight inclination, unclear. There's no scientific definition to that. From the subtlety of the soul, how these 4 words erase all the precision and precise feeling, leaving you stunned. It's not just stunned, it's also very emotional, a slight inclination from the subtlety of the soul. It's very moving. Yeah, Chazon Ish said so. What does it mean? I can't say what does it mean. What did he mean? But I understand. From that, I can understand that inside our emotions that usually are called the heart, man's heart, there you have some kind of a special emotion that awakens maybe from time to time in a person, and it pulls a person, attracts him to a state called faith. Now that you talk about it, I really feel tears in my eyes. Why? I don't know. Probably you feel that you have a demand for it. Simply have an inclination, a demand for it, a need for it. But still, it's not something that you can grab hold of, be certain of, bring even closer to yourself, and therefore it leaves an empty and bitter taste. Previously said that this emotion awakens sometimes. When does faith awaken in man's heart? This is something that you can't tell when. Probably when a person reaches certain forms that he has a deficiency for it. What do you mean by deficiency? Meaning that he wants to feel, to understand, to be close to what's called faith. He doesn't know what it is. He doesn't know how to amplify it, reveal it in some way, summarize these emotions of his. He doesn't exactly know what is he demanding. And that's how he stays. And probably that feeling of emptiness that he senses is called faith, the beginning of faith. Does Kabbalah teach what to do with this emotion of faith? Yes, the wisdom of Kabbalah reveals to a person gradually through guidance, a pretty extended and lengthy one. What can he reveal in that word called faith, in the feeling of faith? The measure in which he can measure, weigh the concept of faith, and he should continue looking that way, developing this concept, until one reaches complete faith. What is complete faith? Complete faith is for a person to feel the Creator in all of his emotions, in all the points of his intellect and feeling and emotion, and that he will lack nothing. To feel the Creator and to believe in the Creator, is it the same? Yes and no. To feel the Creator is something that we can measure according to the fulfillment in us that we have from Him, from the Creator. That's called to feel, like we feel anything else. I'd say that it's a technical concept, technical term. But to believe, this is divided into several degrees, stages, that I can feel and believe in different forms. Are there different degrees in faith? Of course. Faith is a sensation, it's a feeling. It's not that I depict, imagine to myself the Creator and His forces, but I feel them in the measure in which, or in the measure to which I'm fulfilled by Him, and according to the degrees of the fulfillment, I can talk about the degree and the size of faith that I receive. What's that fulfillment that I get from the Creator that I measure and grade? I identify Him. The measure to which He fulfills me. Fulfills me where? In my inner sensation, feeling, deficiency for it, the sensation of the Creator, for feeling Him. That's called the vessel of faith. So if we can define faith as what? When Kabbalah says faith, what is that? After what we said, I'd put it this way. Faith is the sensation, the feeling of the Creator in man. Is faith a state? It is a person's emotional state in which he feels the Creator to a certain extent. Is it a steady state or does it change? It's a changing state. What changes about it? The feeling itself. A person feels the Creator more or less. Yeah? On one of your lectures, I heard you talk not just about faith, but you called it faith above reason. Can you explain what is faith above reason? I saw that it's used a lot in Kabbalah. It means that there's faith. that a person just says that I believe, and there's faith above reason, meaning that a person starts feeling the Creator above all of his natural qualities that he was born with. And this faith is called true faith that the Kabbalists talk about. What is above the natural qualities that I was born with? Above them I need to build faith? Yes. In other words, you can say that faith is the force of bestowal that a person develops above the quality of reception that he has from birth, and that in this quality of bestowal that he develops, in it he starts feeling a special phenomenon called the upper force. The force of bestowal is called the upper force. And that's how he comes to the recognition, knowledge of the Creator, that to the measure to which he has faith, the force of bestowal, to that extent he starts feeling godliness. The word bestowal, what does it mean? Giving. So, to see if I understand correctly, a person is naturally born with a quality of reception, meaning to receive, like in Kabbalah we call it the desire to receive. Yes. That's how a person's born. Yes. Above that, a person himself needs to build what? The quality of bestowal. That we said that bestowal is like giving. If he builds, so we can really relate it like to building with two stories. So I want to talk about the first story. This is something that comes to me naturally, right? And the second story, the quality of giving, previously you called it the force of quality of bestowal. How does this giving, or how is this giving related to faith, if to build it? The force of bestowal is a force that a person develops, and that this is how he usually relates to whatever is outside of him. That's the force of bestowal, hashpa'ah in Hebrew. And the basis for it is the power of faith that he also develops in him, and that's how he relates to whatever is around him. Previously, you said that he builds above the natural, his natural quality of reception, the force of bestowal, and in it, a person discovers godliness. Yes. What's this addition, the revelation of godliness? The revelation of godliness is that he reveals that in nature, before him, there's already a special force called the upper force, primordial force. And a person reveals it gradually, bit by bit, and this way comes closer to it, connects to it. Why is this entire structure called faith above reason? We didn't talk about reason until now. Reason is a sensation, understanding, knowledge, concessions of different kinds that are on the first story. Yeah? Kabbalah also speaks about having faith in the sages, which means what? Faith in the sages means it's that degree of bestowal and faith attained by the Kabbalists. And it's related to me how? It's not related to you. You're only told about it. You're only told what can a person attain in his world, achieve. So I need to believe those sages that have already attained it. You need to believe, and you need to feel. You need to try and at least discover inside yourself an inclination toward it. I want to ask. I heard you say on one of your lectures that Kabbalah is like a kind of superior science, and Kabbalah talks about research and revelation. And how is faith related to all of this? Because faith is, no, it's not the kind of faith that the day-to-day people talk about on the street or that you read about in pretty literature, pulp fiction, or, different talks between people. Faith is a force and a very special phenomenon that happens only to people that can rise above their ego, above their ordinary state in life. The ego and the ordinary state, a person's ordinary state, is the first floor that a person's born on naturally. Yes. Doesn't faith turn Kabbalah into something mystical? No, not at all. Precisely, the definition of faith is something very precise that differentiates, tells apart mysticism, religion, and faith. Can you explain the difference between them? When I want to reveal the upper force, then I need to perform several actions. And these actions need to be actions of bestowal, because the upper force acts, works only in bestowal. And in the measure to which I perform the same actions of bestowal as does the upper force, I enter the same sensation as him and can feel him. So faith isn't choosing between I believe or don't believe, but it's a series of actions. It's work that man needs to do. Of course. It's like a kind of workout, only it's an inner workout. What do you work on? On how to rise above one's ego, transcend it, in the direction of giving. Yes. How does it help a person in life if he acquires the power of faith? In practice, what does it give a person practically? If he needs it, that's the question. Does he need it? A person is asked as if, do you want it or not? If he says, I want, then please. There is the option of achieving it. Do the following, and then probably you'll reach such a feeling called faith. And if not, then you'll have to work more and more until you achieve it. How does Kabbalah relate to faith, the kind of faith that the day-to-day common people talk about? I believe, I don't believe. How does Kabbalah relate to it? Kabbalah doesn't relate to it in any way. A person who says that, he can say it, please. Meaning, just like the rest of the wisdom of Kabbalah, it is the development of a person's inner sense a person's inner feeling toward the concept of faith. Rambam, Maimonides, talks about the 13. Well, he talks that faith is, then there is about prophecy, about the Creator, about different things. What does it mean to believe in these principles in complete faith? I don't know. I don't come to what you're talking about. What, these are very high degrees? Yes, they are. To come to the realization, implementation of these 13 principles that you're talking about by Maimonides, I don't come to that. So if I read the 13 principles that Maimonides talked about, then if I say I believe in it, then what? It doesn't mean complete faith, does it? How can you know? How can you be sure? How do you reveal these principles and what? How to be connected with them? There are many questions here. So he as if what? He talks about the end of man's development here. Yeah. Any person can come to that? Probably so. Probably so. I have plenty of questions because this is really intriguing. If you can summarize, what's the difference between faith in the wisdom of Kabbalah and faith that religions talk about? There are billions of believers. What's the difference? Kabbalah relates to faith as the measure of the revelation of the Creator to man. And what does it depend on? On the measure to which a person feels the Creator, reveals Him, is close to Him, is in connection with Him, an equivalence of form. What does equivalence of form mean? Equivalence of form means that just like the Creator is bestowing and merciful and everything that is said about him, this is also should be man's work. Our time's almost up, so what is the simplest definition to the concept of faith? Faith is the force of bestowal that a person in the force of bestowal feels the Creator and maybe can even measure the degree of his connection, the level of his connection with the Creator. All that you've explained today about faith, how can that contribute to my spiritual development? Yearn for it. Try to reveal. Try to feel, understand. It's all ahead of you. What do you wish me as a person who starts studying Kabbalah in relation to the concept of faith? To attain it. Attain the degree of faith in a way that you will already start seeing where you are and carry on from there. In the beginning of our talk, you said that faith is a slight inclination from the subtlety of the soul. You see how the sages define it. Such attainments, such sensations, a slight inclination from the subtlety of the soul. Yeah. Well, we'll work on it. We'll come closer to it, and we'll try for it to clothe in us, to draw it closer, and then we'll know what it is. Thank you very much, Dr. Laitman. To you too, and our students. Thank you very much. Until next time, all the best.